Welcome to Parks and Cons, companion podcast, the parksandcons.com website and YouTube channel. We discuss cons, theme parks, collecting, and other fun stuff. It's July 30th, 2022. I'm your host, Sean. I'm here with Carmel.
Hi there.
Parks and Cons, your on-spot podcast. We take the heart of the action, best conventions and themed entertainment events around. Today we are recording actually at the Hyatt, adjacent to the Long Beach Convention Center for Midsummer Scream 2022. We had a very busy day. We've really had two very busy days at Midsummer Scream. So Friday night is like a preview night, if you want to call it that, 6 to 10. We were on the floor, no Hall of Shadows that night, but they do have panels in the floor, and that was quite busy and quite fun. And then today it has been non-stop, so we've got a lot of catching up to do here. Should note, we've been doing a lot of live stream kind of combo podcasts, and this one didn't quite work out that way just because signal is so rough out in Long Beach. I don't know what happened about 4 or 5 years ago, but it just kind of became a black box out here. So we did buy Wi-Fi from the convention center, and that worked pretty well on Friday night, and not quite as well on Saturday, although...
Well, it worked pretty well on the exhibit floor, but for some reason not at all in the Hall of Shadows, which is extremely frustrating because it seems like if you're going to sell Wi-Fi for a convention center, that should work in the entire convention center, or there should be some disclosures as to where this doesn't work. But for whatever reason, the Hall of Shadows, the Wi-Fi did not work.
Yeah,
it was
I
very
felt bad
frustrating.
too because I did the live stream of the exhibit hall floor, and people were awesome, and people seemed very excited. And then I promised them, I'm like, and then tomorrow we're going to do the Hall of Shadows, and maybe we'll do on Sunday. And then it was just like, nope, not happening. So in general, we've kind of had to pivot, but you've had some good signal as we've been up in the panel room. You were able, and we'll talk about that, but you've been able to stream some things. I was able to get the Museum of Halloween in, so we've been able to do a little bit, but particularly the Hall of Shadows is like a really, really tough spot. So anyway, having difficulties in general with signal, we're doing this podcast kind of the old school way, which is with the recorder, and actually it is my favorite way, is we're kind of pulled off to the side. Now in this case, we're in the market bar area, I guess, at the Hyatt, and we are just surrounded by Halloween people, and we're overlooking the water in a way here, the little pool of water that they have in front of the Hyatt there. But Sarah Karloff, the daughter of Boris Karloff, is sitting just a couple tables away from us, and it totally feels like we're in the Halloween mode. Everybody around us here is Midsummer Scream people, so it feels like a good place to record and talk about all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice to be able to take a break. The convention center has felt fairly overwhelmed, as far as food availability and security and things. So, but here it just feels kind of relaxed, and it's kind of nice that the evening's winding down. I believe the party is going on right now, but we are basically needed a break, and so we came over. We had some dinner and stuff, and there's also a street fair that's going on at the Pike across the street, so that's added even more crowds and stuff. So going to one of the usual restaurants just didn't seem like an option because there was going to be long waits, and I don't think either of us really had that in us. So here, even though there was a decent wait to get the food, it's basically a counter service situation. We were at least able to sit down, and I got a pasta salad that was sitting at the counter. So we kind of had an appetizer and could kind of start while they were working on the food and stuff. So it's actually turned out to be a really nice break and nice dinner evening
stop. Really nice. Yeah. And, a side note just on that is just attendance definitely seems to be up. It's been a very busy weekend. Midsummer Scream celebrating their 5th anniversary. The 5th anniversary was stalled out because of the pandemic, so they had that fantastic Awaken the Spirits and Season Screaming, so it doesn't feel like it's been as long since the Midsummer Scream, but it has been, the full since 2019 till we've had the full event that we have back here again. And it's really clear they've outgrown this convention center, and so I don't know that they'll move or not, but the show, to their credit, they have pulled in people from all over the place, and just kind of the food services areas are overwhelmed, the bathrooms are overwhelmed, the access to the floor, just kind of getting into the convention center. I mean, there was huge lines just to get in at 2, 3 o'clock even in the afternoon. So very, very popular event, and it's, not to say that they'll move to Anaheim, but that's kind of usually the next step to move from. So a lot of times shows, they'll say, you know what, we're good, we're going to stay right here, and that's fine as well. But it's, fun to see so many people enjoying Halloween in July. And everybody here that we've come across at least is like super pumped to be in Halloween mode, and it really does feel like it's always weird. Going back to 2019 and before, is like when we leave Midsummer Scream, it just feels like the whole world should be in Halloween mode, and instead it's like the spirit Halloweens are still kind of, they got the signs up, but they're not quite open, and stuff is trickling into the Lowe's and the Home Depots, but it just feels like the whole world should be black and orange, and like, here we go, Halloween. But we still have to wait another 4, 5, 6 weeks until you get Halloween at Disneyland Resort,
and
Universal,
then we
etc.
still have D23, which is going to be very out of sync with the season for us when it hits in September. But there's obviously quite a ways until Halloween, but the Halloween season itself, isn't too far off, and it's always cool that Midsummer kind of kicks off that season and stuff. And so also kind of interesting, the theme parks, meaning, well, at least specifically Knott's Berry Farm and Universal, it's also kind of interesting because they've already been building and stuff, and so we've seen progress there, where it feels like in the past we might see a little thing here or there, but usually it was until Midsummer that we really start seeing some substantial stuff. But this year, there's already a lot of build going on that was visible and stuff, and so John Murdy even kind of mentioned that during the panel, which we'll touch on and stuff. And there's a live, I did it as a live on the YouTube channel already. But build is well underway and stuff. So yes, this is kind of the kickoff, although it seems like things are already in motion. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, back, I feel like 2019 it started to shift some, 2018, but 2017, 2016, 2015, like, we would see very small signs of build at the parks, and you'd see things trickling in, but this year particularly, back in February, it was like full-on build in plain view at Universal Studios, and the big build going on at the old Paranormal Inc. spot over at Knott's, full build. It's just much more obvious than it's been in the past. So we'll still have some of that Halloween, and it kind of fits. One of the panels we went to today was Trick or Terror. Ted Doherty and Lisa, I don't have her name in front of me right now.
Martin, I think.
Okay. But anyway, they had just talked about kind of the Halloween picking up steam, and it's like, we see that wherever we go now. Is just every year it feels like Halloween gets a little bit more popular, a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more prevalent that much earlier on.
Yeah, Lisa Morton.
Oh, there you go. So we'll get to that panel in a second, though. So our Friday, we came in, we got checked in for media, we hit the floor. As I said, there were some panel offerings, but we were all about the floor, and it's a big floor. Like, I don't know how many more vendors there are than normal, but it was noticeable that this was a big, beefy floor, and we made our way, and we barely got it done in the 4 hours that we had. Now, granted, we talked to a lot of friends, we caught up with a bunch of different people, but it was like plowing away to get through the booths, and found some really, really great stuff down there. First off, it was just neat seeing LA Haunted Hayride, or 13th Floor, kind of right in the front there with a bunch of their actors out. They're also advertising Shocktoberfest right behind it. You have the Pumpkin Patch behind that, where you've got like Spooksy Boo doing stories and Bob Baker Marionette Show going on over there. A number of talent actors, writers, all sorts of people over off to the left there. You have some of the cast of the new Munsters movie, including Daniel Roebuck. That's coming to Netflix, I think, in the next month or two, if I remember correctly. Greg Nicotero was there, which I was kind of kicking myself. I knew it was a situation, but I met him at the Walking Dead fan celebration last week at Comic-Con. I got a picture with him because he was being so gracious about taking pictures, but some people were asking them to sign his badge or their badges, and I was like, I don't know if that's the signature I want to get. But then he's here charging $40, and I was like, I should have got him to sign the badge last week. But a number of really great, talented individuals there that I've seen some pretty big lines of people being excited. Seeing John Massari's here. We've seen him a few times from Killer Clowns. Just some good stuff out on the floor on the talent side before we even get to all the clothing and the treats and things like that.
Yeah, I kind of was surprised that there were so many talent and celebrities and stuff. They're doing autographs on the Friday. Like, I wasn't paying super close attention. If you follow along with us, you know that we've been very much in the Comic-Con mode, and so this week it's like that only ended on Sunday, and so this week transitioning out of it, it's been a lot of catching up on things and stuff. And so looking closely at the offerings for Friday yesterday, I just really didn't look that close at that, but so I wasn't really expecting there to be that much talent there. I thought it would be like just the exhibit floor, like the vendors and stuff. I wasn't expecting a lot of autographs to be going on and stuff, but there were. So that's a really cool thing. The Friday was, I think, busier as far as like attendance than I was expecting, and I kind of thought it might be a little slower because this is the first time that Friday has been a thing, right? Or
no, we had that in 2019 as well.
Did we?
I thought we did. I don't. You know what? You could be right. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
We can look it up, but it's not important.
Yeah, it's either way. I wasn't expecting Friday to be that busy, and then it was, and so there was like a lot of people there and stuff, and busier than I expected. But just all a good thing. I mean, people are just itching to get back to the floor. It was cool. Going down the stairs down to the exhibit floor, there was a banner that said "Welcome Home."
Welcome home, spooky kids. I think.
Something like that. And I thought, well, that's really cool. And then it seemed like there was like a lot of people who were noting the welcome home sentiment and stuff. And it is nice to be back at a full-on Midsummer Scream in Long Beach and stuff, and to see so many familiar faces and so many friends and stuff has been really cool. And for Friday to be an option and stuff was really, like I said, a cool thing. And it was more than I was expecting, both in attendance and in the offerings. I just wasn't expecting as much as there was.
Yeah, like as you said, it started with a bit of a slower trickle. And then it was like, boom, everybody was there. And then at 10 o'clock at night, when the show was like closing down, it didn't feel like anybody was ready to leave. Same thing today, big floor day, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., I believe. And then if you have the gold bat, it's the hour early, so 10 a.m. Without it, it's 11 to 7. But either way, I mean, it's a big floor day. And nobody seemed ready to leave. Everybody was having such a good time. And in the Halloween mode, you could tell like everybody's in their happy place and just want to stay there. I did want to mention it was great to see Castle Park on the floor, as well as a lot of different, various escape rooms, etc. But when it comes to the park side, I mean, it was disappointing that Knott's and Six Flags chose to not have booths this year. It's one of those things. I just think that these types of events are as much about like thanking the fans as it is about like selling tickets. And I think we're in weird times with the parks. I mean, you and I, it's so funny how many things came true that you and I talked about privately back in 2020, because we talked in 2020, we're like, well, whenever things open up, which we thought would be a lot sooner than it ended up being, but we said, there's probably going to be less media events at parks for a while. There's probably going to be a lot of cuts from like events and things, because there's going to be so much pent-up demand, you're not going to really need to do some of the same type of marketing as before. And sure enough, that's been very much the case across the board. I mean, there's been very few media events at parks across the board, and there's then events like this, it's great that they were able to pull in so many different types of talent and diverse actors and things like that, because not having a Knott's or a Six Flags there is kind of a noticeable difference. But Castle Park was there advertising their Castle Dark event.
And Universal was there with their photo op.
Great, and that was awesome too, because not only did they come and go big on the panel, which we'll get to, but yeah, as you said, they had a booth there doing photo ops too, which was really cool to see.
And that had seemed to have a pretty decent line on both Friday and Saturday when I went by. So it was basically kind of, I guess, a green screen sort of thing. And they put in the backdrop and stuff depending on which one you wanted. So yeah, that was cool to see as well.
Yeah, I really like that as well. We saw, a number of great cosplayers on the floor. The Ecto group was there with all of their giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It was really great to see Circus of Nightmares, a home haunt that we're familiar with in Burbank, that's powered, at least in the front of the camera, by a group of children, but that we know the parents are very much involved in the background as well. They had a great photo op and like a full-on booth. A creepy cool kid you can find on Instagram is always posting great stuff, and they were doing some awesome clown type poses and things like that. I found like a new favorite vendor, the Halloween Shirt Company. I guess they're from, was it Kansas or Kentucky, something like that?
I think you said Kentucky.
I had never heard of them. We ran into our friend Jamie from Samhain's Lot, and he said he has several of their shirts, so he was aware of them, but I've never seen them. I'm not an online shopper in general, and so like it's kind of like the best way to sell to me is at a convention. And so we go around, because I had just told you, like, I haven't seen many shirts to buy. Like, I was like, yeah, this is kind of weird. There's so many, and a lot of great shirts, but not like ones that I felt like I had to buy.
Must buys, yeah.
What?
I said must buys. You said that you hadn't really come across any must buy shirts.
Yeah. And right before that, we went by, was it Monster Tees, and bought a shirt there, which I really like. And it's advertising like a Sunday like festival of TV offerings on Channel 13 of like Halloween trick or treat and things like that. But then we come around the corner, and I love that shirt. I'm going to wear it tomorrow. But then we come around the corner, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool shirt. Oh, check out that shirt. And they're all these vintage Halloween designs. And then we come and we see Dracula's Spook House. Says, can you survive Dracula's Spook House? Stoker's Boardwalk, 1992. And it just totally looks like some sort of kind of, for lack of a better term, cheesy carnival type haunted mansion ride, which we ironically just rode one at the OC Fair a couple days ago. And it just looks absolutely spectacular with purples and yellows. And it was like, okay, I got to get this. It was $25. And then it was like, they gave us a nice canvas bag to go with it. And they have so many more shirts there. I'm like, I need to buy at least one more, I think, before we leave this weekend. But great stuff. I was surprised that you didn't have one that caught your eye, because I feel like there's like 10 shirts that I look at as must-buys.
Well, they all caught my eye. I mean, they're like beautiful and really cool, and had like such a retro feel to it and stuff. And they also have like kids shirts. They have youth sizes and stuff. But we've discussed it before. I really try not to buy too much on show floors. I have more than enough shirts. I have more than enough purses. I have more than enough, all those types of things. And so I really try to be more discerning when I'm on a show floor and not just get caught up in, the emotions of buying stuff or whatever. And so, yeah, that was one. They were really great shirts, and lots of them. I mean, there was like kind of a ghost kind of puppeteering, like another ghost with a girl in bed getting scared or something.
Marionette kind of scene.
Yeah, marionette sort of thing. And there was a jack-o'-lantern face that was, if you look closer, was actually like witches, like kind of in the shape of a jack-o'-lantern. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but they have like really incredible shirts and stuff. But yeah, it was one where I was able to resist the urge to buy anything, so I did not purchase one there.
And you can find them on Instagram at Halloween Shirt Company, or you can find them online at HalloweenShirtCompany.com. Now, you did end up, though, buying a bag, like, right away after that. So you gave in and did buy a really awesome Halloween bag.
Okay, the reason I did, though, was more related to the fact that, again, still transitioning out of Comic-Con mode, I totally forgot to grab a Halloween-themed purse or a bag to carry around, and I have lots of them, and I even thought about it a couple times as we were like packing and getting ready and stuff, but then when it actually came to it, I just forgot. And so all I had on hand was my Dagobah mini backpack, my Loungefly bag that I used for Comic-Con, and that just didn't work thematically. Obviously, it's like a bright green color with brown design and stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll probably end up buying a bag of some sort. So I did, and I don't have the name of the company I bought it from offhand.
Oh, that's a shame.
I can't.
Maybe you can post it later.
Yeah, but it's a cool bag with like different kind of. There's like a photo of Edgar Allan Poe, the word poison, number 13. There's lots of really kind of cool macabre sort of look to it, and I really loved the fact that it was only $35. Most of the bags that we were coming across were at least $50 and stuff, and so it's not a very complicated, expensive-looking bag. It's just a kind of a crossbody, kind of smaller bag, but it's actually perfect what I was looking for. Because I also am carrying like around my big backpack where I have like the monopod and the gimbal and stuff for Parks and Con stuff. So I wanted like a smaller bag that I could just kind of carry on me with like my wallet and that type of thing. So it totally met the need, and it was $35, and so I did buy that. But that was more of because I made an error and didn't bring the proper accessories with me. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, as the kids say, they knew, they'll use the term, they knew the assignment. I told you yesterday you did not know the assignment because you showed up to Midsummer Scream in a Pirates of the Caribbean shirt, which is arguable, debatable.
Gosh,
I know it was actually even part of Ted's presentation today. You can make a fight for that. But you also showed up in a Yoda Dagobah backpack, and then we carry our Walking Dead bags, which we have like 100 of these Walking Dead bags, or Blood Factory, or Ash versus Evil Dead. Like, we have all these horror ones, and you show up with a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge bag.
Oh my!
So I think you're on your way to D23 Expo or Disneyland
or
something.
In my defense, we did record the YouTube live talking about prep for D23, and we were at Disneyland. So in my getting ready, I got ready for that, which obviously actually doesn't make sense or isn't really important, because when we do the lives, usually it's like my shoulders up, so you can't even see my shirt or my backpack or anything like that. But I did my homework for that assignment. I just the other assignment just left my head, even though obviously I was packing and we were getting ready and all these other things for Midsummer. For Friday, I mean, I have the appropriate attire and all that stuff for Saturday, Sunday, but for Friday, when I got dressed, I didn't bring a change of clothes like you did. You're much more quick and apt to change clothes than midday and made events and stuff. I am not. It's like I get dressed in the morning and I hope it works till the end of the day. And so that was the case yesterday. So yeah, I did not do my homework for Friday or whatever. But so I'm sorry if I embarrassed you with my not doing my homework, but so it goes.
As we get to the next thing we picked up on the floor, I did want to note, so this says something about this on top, but another kudos. This is something we've talked a lot about as the conventions have come back, though, of what status do they return in terms of things like we just saw at San Diego Comic-Con. The carpet went away, the physical programs went away. The app had lessened and things, but coming into Midsummer Scream, some things to note. Thought the app was good. They have an app. Thought it worked well. I mean, it's done everything I've needed to do, so very pleased with that. Beautiful lanyards, great lanyards. The Fiends have sponsored, again, the lanyards, and then they've got the nice, physical things there for the people that are part of that group, whether it's White Bat or presenters or whatever it might be. And then on the wristbands, I mean, I know they have some of the paper ones too, but the gold bat stuff and things, they're the nice, plastic ones, so with wearing them yesterday, it was no problem to take a shower and be able to clean it. So those things are nice. And then physical programs, again, I mean, they use kind of a map type format to it. It's very theme park centric. Got a beautiful map of the Hall of Shadows in it and all of that. And so I thought those things were great. I did want to say, too, another purchase we made. If anybody's followed along with Midsummer Scream, you know that they have the Blacklight Hall of Shadow poster for the 5th anniversary, and it looks incredible. It looked and it looks incredible, and I just felt like I had to have it, even though we don't have a Blacklight currently and we don't have a place to hang it, no wall space, but you ended up picking it up. It was $40, so pretty pricey for a poster, but it's a beautiful, it really is my favorite, I think. I can't say favorite because there's so many great things out there, but I feel like it's one of my favorite posters I've ever seen. So really an awesome piece there that you picked up. Tino Evil had a number of different shirts celebrating the 5th anniversary of Hall of Shadows and the convention itself, and a bunch of great shirts beyond that. They've done a really good job with their merchandising over the years at Midsummer Scream and offering a lot of cool things there all the way around. So, okay, so from the floor, maybe let's get to the Hall of Shadows then next. Does that make sense?
Sure. So basically that kind of wrapped Friday.
And then we'll come to, so Saturday came. We started our day out in the Hall of Shadows, and I think we can kind of hit on a number of things there. We did meet up with friends from the Hall of Shadows on Friday and saw a few things there, but let's talk more about all of that kind of here in the Saturday portion. We kept kind of our tradition, which has been a few years now, that we've met up with our friends Ted Doherty and Rochelle and done as many of the haunts as we can early in the morning. Ted had his panel at noon today, so our goal was to get in the floor for Hall of Shadows and just hit the mazes that we could down there. Now, the Hall of Shadows this year, I believe in the map, they have, is it 16 attractions there?
I thought you said 15.
Yeah, 15, 16. They got a number of things there. And so let's just kind of talk about them. And to the extent we did not experience them all, so we won't hit every single one of them. But let's talk about the ones that we do. So first off, the entry statement, as has been the case from the beginning, Cal Haunts came in. Cal Haunts, the phenomenal group of haunters that have supported Midsummer so much with these incredible entry statements. Once again, they unified, and the theme this year was Midsummer Estates, and so they each built their own Halloween kind of house for a trick-or-treat spot. And so entering the Midsummer Estates, the entry into the Hall of Shadows, you had all of these different houses that you could ring the doorbell or step up to and trick-or-treat at, and absolutely fantastic. You had a Scooby-Doo Purge mashup where Scrappy-Doo was the villain that started the Purge. That was a lot of fun. You had Nightmare on Elm Street. You had Clown House paying tribute to the wonderful Javier, who has died since
Clowntown.
Clowntown. I'm sorry. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful tribute to him. Very emotional having that there. I mean, just incredible. The 666 house. I don't know if it had a different name than that, but very kind of demon. I mean, beautiful rock work there. The Gremlins house. It reminded me back when we were at the Warner Brothers lot when they did Horror Made Here, and you have the gremlins in the windows and stuff, like this wonderful gremlins house there. The Pumpkin House, again, beautiful work, such detail all the way around. Our friends Tim and Greg from Bones Gulch now, which we'll talk more about Bones Gulch in a moment, but what's that?
And Scott.
Yeah, but it was just Tim and Greg that did this, the part that we're talking about now, that built this, to my understanding, at least from what I understand, that built the Evil Dead house. And it looked beautiful, Necronomicon in front, the hand reaching out, but had within the house, or in the front of the house, you ring the doorbell, and the what you're standing on turned all
the
green.
Porch area.
Yeah, the porch all turned green, as if the evil is rising under there. What an awesome little touch there. Right next to them then, Silver Samrock, Trick or Treat, Halloween all meets up. Our friend Jamie from Salwin's Lot, who always does incredible work. He had all of his fun, lurking, ghoulish guys kind of hanging out there, guys and girls. Beautifully fun. I mean, it reminded me, obviously, because he had a lot of touches from what his home haunt was last year, but such a fun, infectious, joyful display that he had there. So all these beautiful things. And then on top of that, I mean, the streets, they had signs, like you had Black Cat, was it Black Cat Way?
Well, literally
Drive.
On the floor, they taped out what looked like literally a street. There were crosswalks, there was a hydrant, there was the what is it called? The manhole.
The manhole, yeah.
There was eyes creeping out,
yep,
or peeking out, and then so it totally looked like you were going through this neighborhood. I think it was Ian who does work with Midsummer Scream and lots of other things, and was the one who we mentioned when we did the YouTube live talking about Dungeons and Dragons offsite at Comic-Con, and he popped into the live, and he was the person that we referenced there that came up. He made the comment as he was walking by. He's like, it's like being in Burbank, and it totally is going through Burbank during right around Halloween. So many houses are decorated to the nines with incredible stuff, and that's, if you follow along with us, you know that we usually do a few nights in Burbank of haunt hopping and trying to take in as many of the home haunts and displays and stuff as we can. So he made that comment, and that is kind of what it felt like, especially because they did lay out an actual street facade type of thing on the floor and stuff. So it really felt like you're walking through this little neighborhood with these amazingly decorated houses and stuff, which was really cool.
I mean, it's just so tough. Every year it's like, well, they can't top themselves, and then they somehow top themselves. And I don't know if we saw them all, if we could travel time and see them all, maybe there's some, but I just feel like every year it's like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming, and it's even more impressive, and it's more impressive, and it was just such infectious joy, such infectious joy in that whole entry statement there. And then on top of that, you had gosh, what's their name? The production crew that's Forces of Nature.
Force of Nature.
Yeah, Force of Nature. I was thinking of their Instagram handle and trying to make it out from there, but they were going around as citizens of the area as well and interacting with guests and all that. So all beautiful. Then we get to Bones Gulch. So Bones Gulch is the child of, again, Restless Souls Manor, The Farm, and Beware the Dark Realm. So Greg, Scott, and Tim all coming together, who all have these truly epic home haunts in 2019 and before, and now unifying. And I know we've put out content about their release and all of that stuff coming up. That is specifically a professional haunt in a world where professional haunts, I think, are going to get a little bit of extra bump this year with no Dark Harbor, and there's just some changes in the seas with some of these things.
Well, it is a professional haunt that's teamed up, and basically they're raising money for a charity.
Yep.
So it's not like a professional haunt where these three guys are doing it because they're going to supplement their income. They're working with the sheriff's department and stuff, and the proceeds are going to I want to say some sort of museum, if I recall correctly.
I don't recall.
I don't remember,
but we knew that answer, but I don't recall it off the top of my head right now after all this.
But it is
fatigue.
a charity, so it is a pro haunt, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a more
well,
of a
they're
charity.
all very
so-
community-based individuals. I mean, these are 3 of the most lovely, giving people you could ever possibly meet. I mean, they really are. They're the type of people you just see them and you want to give them a hug, no matter when it is or whatever. They're all awesome people. But yeah, now they're putting together this awesome haunt. So they have this beautiful photo op that is advertising Bones Gulch, and then they actually released tickets today. So I don't know if you saw that because you were in the panels when that happened, but great idea on the marketing of it to release ticket sales today. You could buy tickets here, use the QR code, all of that. Then awesome photo op there that really kind of brought you into the vibe of this kind of ghost town Bones Gulch, filling there. So really awesome stuff. I should say with all of this, we're going to have 2 videos, or probably by the time people are listening to this, both videos are probably up, I would imagine. But 2 Hall of Shadows videos. We were breaking it in 2 because we were going to try and do live. We couldn't do live, so we're breaking it into 2 parts. Part 1 is 15 minutes. It's uploading as we speak, and in it is Bones Gulch as well as all the Cal Haunt stuff is part of it. So you can get a visual with all of this, because as always is the case with Halloween, probably more than anything we cover, the visual speaks so much louder than our words here, for sure. It's just incredible. Okay, let's make a right turn out of Midsummer Estates. You've got straight to Hale. They're out in the Rancho Cucamonga, kind of Ontario area there, Inland Empire. One of the closer haunts. I mean, not super close, probably a half hour for you and I, but you and I drive so much further from most haunts. We didn't get to go inside the maze last year. We saw from the street, and again, like something like Bones Gulch, it's kind of a ghost town vibe to it. Well, this year we got to do it at Midsummer Scream. What a fantastic walkthrough. Like, it's a creepy ghost town effect. They had like mice running above our head. They had, demonic nuns popping out. Love the maze from start to finish. A lot of interactive kind of moments in terms of how the actors engaged people. Just some beautiful stuff there, I thought, all the way around. Then Haunt with No Name Yet, right across the way there. Always a fun display. They bring it right to the center of the Hall of Shadows. Beautiful lighting. Great sound effects. Feels like you're in, the middle of some, graveyard, some cemetery.
Yeah, it is a more miniature version of what they do for Halloween. And Halloween, they basically, like, their entire front yard, which is a very good sized front yard and stuff, is decorated. So this is a smaller version, but the lighting's great. The effects are great. It's just a really beautiful yard display that is brought its sampling to Hall of Shadows, so it's really cool.
Then right over there also is Exquisite Corpse, which we were not able to experience today. They were closed when we went by in the morning. I saw they seem to open up later in the day, so hopefully we'll get to see them tomorrow. The Witching Hour, they've come from up north, and I know they have this beautiful Myers house facade. I did not realize how many show elements it had to it, though. Like, the whole facade, fades out, and you see Michael Myers inside, and you see projections up in the windows, and they have a lot of show elements to this display. So it's not really a display as much as a display show, really. Some great stuff there, Witching Hour, and I'm particularly glad we got to see it here, because I don't know that we're going to go up north, especially with the loss of Great America as a haunt destination. I'm not sure if we're going to make our way up there anytime very soon as we used to.
Yeah, that I was surprised by how much stuff there was in that display. Like, when we first walked by, it's like, okay, cool. It's a house, and off to the left there's the staircase with the child clown type of thing off to the side and stuff. And I thought, oh, that's cool. But then, when we went by when it was fully functioning and stuff, the shadow, I think, basically when I first walked up, it was like Michael as a child type of thing, and going in and putting on the mask and stuff in the one side of the house, and then making his way over to the other side of the house where I can't think of her name, but basically she was was doing her makeup or something, and so you see that, and then a little later it's him as an adult, and then there were some actors that came out that I believe were part of that.
You had Michael Myers show out, and Laurie Strode as well made her way out
that's
there.
Right,
and there's a sign saying it's the Strode house in front. It's just a wonderfully epic epic display there by Witching Hour. And I should say, I mean, we'll have these things on our social that we put out in terms of like the YouTube and all that. But with Witching Hour, just because the name it can kind of catch up. It's the Witching, and then the hour is AUER. So it's not HOUR, it's AUER. I know that's the kind of thing that would throw me a wrench if I was looking for it. Right next to them, to the left of them, then you have the Decayed Brigade with their slider shows, which I absolutely love, but I feel like we don't get to see much at Midsummer Scream shows anymore just because they're so popular, they're so epic that you really do need to get there early to take them in, and I feel like our time is always so short. It's kind of like seeing a parade at Disneyland. Like, you got to get there early to get a good spot, and so we haven't seen it yet. Hopefully tomorrow, though.
I did see them practicing for a few minutes on Friday, and what I saw was, like, really impressive. Like, one of the things that I did a double take because I thought, am I seeing that? But there was one of the, I think it was a guy, was like on, like, arched, like, his whole body. So I can't think of what that is called, but basically he was standing on his feet and his hands, and his body was completely arched. So he was like decently high. He had like a decent amount of height, and then someone slid and like jumped over him.
Yeah, they're so talented.
I'm used to them like being like lowered to the ground and people jumping over them, but this guy was arched pretty high, and I was like, wait, what? That guy just did that? And it was they were just practicing, so I didn't see much more beyond that, but that was cool. So yeah, they are ones that I would love to see one of their full performances, but it's as you said, it's a difficult thing to kind of accomplish when we're running around doing so many things. So
we're so lucky to be able to see sliders perform at Knott's. So many of the sliders are able to perform at Knott's, but we lost a big part of the sliding community in terms of just like Halloween events when we lost Dark Harbor. As Dark Harbor always had some great slide shows and things like that, and so that's something that's kind of disappeared now. You still have Six Flags with their sliders and stuff, but it's a little different not having Dark Harbor as well. So it's awesome though Decayed Brigade can come together in this setting to do all that they're doing. To the left of Decayed Brigade, then you have Corona Haunt. They are one of the ones that we're very familiar with. We never miss anything Corona Haunt does. Love the way they construct their mazes, their theming. They're one of those groups of haunters that we have, I think, very much on the same page in terms of sensibilities of they're super into traditional Halloween. Not that they don't go off into other areas, but what they constructed here was parts of the last season in 2021's maze, which was fantastic, an epic production that I think you would love to see. I mean, personally, if I walked into the maze that they did in 21 at Universal Studios Hollywood for Horror Nights, I'd be totally pleased with it. And what they brought here was a sampling of that, so more of the same. And you can't say enough good things about Corona Haunt.
Yeah, definitely very impressive and stuff. And they're always kind of so professional in their demeanor and the way they handle their social and even their signs and stuff as you go in. And during the pandemic, they did timed entries, and they really, they put a lot of work into their haunt and stuff, and so definitely respect that. And then also, it's nice that they're in Corona, which we live in Riverside, so it's more like a half hour for us to get there type of thing. And so, although it does seem to be sometimes tricky, and we end up fitting them in on our way back from Orange County or different places. But it is awesome that we're a little closer to home, and it's such an awesome experience and stuff when we do go.
Yeah, I mean, they do light shows even for Christmas and stuff. They just really they really have the brain for this stuff in terms of how to market it and how to put a product out there that brings smiles to their fans' faces, and great job with it. So then to the left of them, Fear Farm, which everybody was talking about Fear Farm outside of the convention center when we arrived Friday. A lot of people had mentioned you got to see this. It's like a castle on top of a mountain. And it's what? And so we get there. Now, Fear Farm has really made themselves known. They have worked so hard to market their haunt this last year. I feel like everywhere we go, we see actors, talent, very charismatic group from Fear Farm out there. Whether it's at CreepyCon, I feel like we saw them at Monster Palooza. I just feel like everywhere we go, we
Cemetery Lane,
or Spooky Swap Meet.
Spooky Swap Meet,
yeah. So interestingly, you and I have both won free tickets for that at different events. So I won a free ticket spinning the wheel here. You spun the wheel at the Spooky Swap Meet and won it there. But anyway, we had already talked about, like, we need to visit this one. Now, it's out in the high desert. I think it's in, is it Phelan? How do you say it? Phelan. I just remember as a college kid going and digging, like, ditches of trash up with my stepfather. So it's some abandoned lot out there. But it's been a long time since we've been out to that part of the desert for anything, like, for entertainment-wise or anything like that. But I feel like we're going to have to find a way to get out to Fair Farm this year and really check it out, because I hear nothing but good things, and they are working so hard to put their name out there. Then that's all before we went through this maze or this house, whatever we want to call it. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So just to give some perspective, the facade, the display just from the outside, it reminded me a lot of what is it, Castle Grayskull?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that's what I thought of when I saw it, and it's like this big mountain and this big castle thing on top. And so yeah, I totally was thinking Castle Grayskull is what it reminded me of. But then yeah, as you said, then we went inside.
And they scared from above, they scared from below, they scared straight on. I always love when, using a diverse array of scare tactics there. I always think that's, beyond just the kind of step where they use the kind of foreboding, person at the end of a hallway type thing. I mean, they just really check the box with all of them. And on top of that, you've got, like, the stilt walkers out front on the springs, and really fantastic. So definitely going to keep an eye out for them in the season, and that will probably be like the night, like we'll make a drive out there. That's going to take up most of the night, but we'll see. Next to them is the Quail Trail Carnival. We have not experienced that one yet. Not really familiar with that one at all, so we'll have to get that one at hopefully tomorrow. Then we went to Santa Anahunt. And Santa Anahunt, I was really glad that we were able to experience, because that was one during the season that we went to, but they had complications and they weren't able to open up on time. And it was as we are...
that time for some... Well, we don't get a lot of rain in Southern California, but somehow it had rained the night before we tried to go, so their equipment had gotten wet and so they were trying to get it all functioning. So it looked cool from the outside, but we weren't able to go in.
Yeah, and as is the case with you and I during the Halloween season, we normally don't have a lot of extra time. So, like, we budget like a half hour a stop, or sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but we couldn't. But they had this beautiful facade. They had great Q talent working outside and entertaining, fog machines. So we got to experience it here, and it was everything I hoped. They played with light so well. They took you into blinding light and then pitch black. And that happened, I think there was 2 cycles of that in this footprint inside the Hall of Shadows. And at one point it worked so well coming into it, I walked straight into they have it set up purposely for that. It's like you continue to go straight. You have to know to make the right. If you don't know to make the right because it's kind of hidden away, you walk straight in the wall, and that's exactly what was supposed to happen. It was fun, and I'm sure you could see that in our video.
Well, I was going to say, you were filming at the time, so I didn't walk into the wall. I saw it, but I thought you saw me turn, so I didn't think to warn you or anything. Yeah. And so yeah, I didn't.
It was very
help
well
you on
executed.
That one.
Very, very well executed, I thought. Next to them is Reichlin Asylum, which looks fantastic. They've got their massive facade. We've heard that Matthias is there and in a different version, and can't wait to see him. But they were closed in the morning. They had some complications, I guess, and weren't able to open on time. So we came back later, and by the time we came back towards the end of the day, they were closed again to end the day out. So hopefully we'll be able to get in there tomorrow. That's definitely a must-see for us. Next to them, the Drek Society. Now that's one. Where are they? They're not in River. I say they're River. They're Inland Empire, or maybe it's Rancho Cucamonga area.
I think it's Rancho.
Never hear anything but amazing things about them. Love everything they do at Midsummer Scream, but we've never experienced them in person, because they're one of the haunts that thus far has been like a 30th and 31st type of thing. And so because of their limited dates, we haven't been able to make it, because usually we do a lot of our Inland Empire stuff earlier than that, so we haven't been able to work it out quite yet, but we'll see if this is the year.
Yeah, I think one of the years they were doing, you had to basically RSVP, and they gave you a time,
for
but
appointments.
but they didn't tell you the time until like the day of, and like an hour before or something, and we're like, okay, well, it would have been like one stop on our way to many others, and not knowing what time we were going to get in, we just weren't able to make it work or anything like that. So unfortunately, I think that's the closest we've come to actually being able to go.
Yeah, they had a fun walkthrough though here. They had some kind of there's parts that had a little bit of a Shadowlands feel to it from Knott's, and particularly there was one part where you went up And then if you look down, which you missed this, it didn't happen, but there was somebody crawling underneath you kind of banging. So that didn't happen when you went through. But when Ted and Rochelle and I went through, like Ted was the one that noticed it. It's like, that's a really cool effect because you're looking to the right at this big kind of samurai type scene. And then all of a sudden underneath you is somebody like lunging upward. And I like, again, I just said it about, one of the other haunts. I love that, kind of varying the ways that you come at the...
Are they the ones that have the big Pokemon at the front of the facade?
Yep.
Did I miss how? Does that connect at all with the?
I think it was like a samurai type Pokemon up there.
Oh,
they had a little costume on.
I didn't
but
see
the lighting. There was
closely.
some alarms going off. Also, I don't know if it was like the fog kind of hitting the fire alarm thing. So a lot of the lighting seemed off in there when we went, and I think that was corrected later. I think it was just the timing of when we went through. But either way, a fun one that they got there. And then right next to it, Realm of Shadow. We've not been able to experience yet, so we'll come back to that one. Hopefully, we can do it tomorrow. And then last in the Hall of Shadow, Casa Calaveras. They do a art, kind of Dia de los Muertos art walk with these great displays. I mean, these are full-size, wagon type scenes and the mortuary scene, wedding. Great stuff, but more of a respectful kind of art walk. Then there's no jump scares, there's no actors in it. It's just a bunch of beautiful art.
Yeah, and they kind of tell a story. I think if I recall, I believe it was the same type of story from when we've done it before. But so I didn't read every sign this time. But basically, I think they're kind of telling the life story of this couple that fall in love and get married and stuff, and kind of go through their life cycle and stuff. And so very beautiful, very colorful, very bright colors and stuff. But but no jump scares or anything like that.
Yeah. So then let's talk about panels a little bit. There's a lot of great panels today, tomorrow. I mean, we've always said it about Midsummer Scream. They have so many great exhibitors, so many great haunts in the Hall of Shadows, and then so many great panels. You're just constantly trying to figure out what to do because you just want to do it all. And it's so much smaller than something like San Diego Comic-Con, but it shares with it this kind of like, do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go straight? I wanted to do this. I don't have time for that. And you have to make some choices there, which is a good thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a thing where you just physically can't do everything you want to do because there's always scheduling conflicts and stuff. And so I think when we've talked to Rick West before, it's like, we want you like leaving wanting more type of thing. And so we always leave Midsummer wanting more because it's like we couldn't do this or we couldn't do that, but it's almost by design that they keep it packed.
Well, and we've talked about it in past years. I guess we haven't talked about on this show, but like so much like the stage production quality is like nothing like you see, and we say it every year. But the work that Gary Baker and Jim and Anthony and all of them do to create that stage, there's nothing like it that we experience at any convention anywhere, no matter how deep the pockets. A D23 Expo doesn't compare to it. And it goes back also, the idea of leaving you wanting more is that's very theatrical. It's very much a theme park thing. It's very much like, well, we got to get a season pass and come back next time. And so you always leave Midsummer Scream being like, okay, well, when's the next one? Well, in this case, Season Screaming, we're going to have a holiday version again, and it's like, can't wait to get to it because there's going to be stuff we want to do there because there's always stuff we want to do at Midsummer Scream.
Yeah, it was definitely, in regards to the stage, you weren't in the room, but I was in the room when the team did the welcome. Like, it's kind of a tradition that that the producers of the show get up on stage and kind of welcome everybody and kind of like officially start things and stuff. And I thought it was cool. David Markland actually pointed out like this stage. He pointed to the stage and like, you guys, this is Gary. This is Gary's thing that he puts together for you guys and stuff. And I thought it was cool that he acknowledged Gary's work in that way because I don't know that they have done that in the past, but. But yeah, I mean, Gary's like super creative, and of course, full transparency, we're friends with everybody.
Yeah,
so,
but it is what it is. All you need to do is see one picture and compare it to anywhere else. And
there
is.
We should say
that's the Call brothers and Gary. That's the company behind it. But Gary Baker being, the one that is part of Midsummer Screams directly. That is one of the producers of the show. But yeah, I mean, just incredible theatrical elements to it. Little opening, some ghosts up there singing before the big panels start. Now, in that vein, though, we also got to see the Trick or Terror kind of a Halloween history panel. You noted earlier with Lisa and Ted leading that. They did a really good job. They gave the kind of the history of Halloween from it was very kind of academic. It was cool to see it on the big main stage because it was a very kind of academic type talk about the history of Halloween, about the history of haunts, trick-or-treating, all of that. But it was this really cohesive 50 minutes of content that I found quite interesting. And I feel like so much of it's like things that I've heard before, but it just every time you hear it or you hear new things or little twists to it, and it sticks a little bit more in my brain at least. And so that was really fun. And you did a live of that, so that's up on the channel if anybody wants to check that one out.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, that one I accidentally hit the go live button a little early, and so there's like fast forward through the first few minutes of that because it was just by mistake I hit the button, and I to like do it over again and send you a new link and post it. Just was so I just let it run. But so yeah, fast forward through the first several minutes, and then you'll get to the actual panel, and that's what's interesting.
I mean, one of the biggest panels of the day, and you said about the executive team coming out welcoming, but also that preceded, again on the main stage, the original Monster Kids, which we talked about just being a few feet here from Sarah Karloff, but you had Kirk Hammett of Metallica fame, which, I mean, that was a huge deal to I feel like that was like the guest this weekend that everybody was kind of buzzing about him being here facilitating. But you had I don't have the names in front of me. I don't have the names of the other participants in front of me there. But you had was it Lon Chaney's granddaughter as well? Well, you had senior and junior, granddaughter and daughter, depending on the case.
Oh, yeah, I guess which Chaney you're referring to.
But, bringing together, talk about, the original Monster Kids, kind of a great way to come back to Midsummer as well. Winchester had a panel, Forces of Nature were doing their thing, Zombie Joe doing his thing. I mean, so many great panels today.
Yeah, so on the description of the original Monster Kids, it features Sarah Karloff, the daughter of Boris Karloff, Lynn Lugosi Sparks, granddaughter of Bella Lugosi, and Ron Chaney, grandson and great-grandson of Lon Chaney Jr. and Sr.
Awesome. A great collection there for sure. There was also, what was it? The Spook Show one we didn't get to, but I really wanted to see. But it was at, let me see. It was at 3:30 on the main stage. Spooktacular History of Spooky World, which I'm entranced with the Spooky World idea, and I have to see this documentary. And they had this panel at Monsterpalooza. So this is the second time I've had a chance to see it and missed it again. But again, there's just so much to do. In fact, I think during that I wanted to, because again, we talked about trying to do live video. And so I knew people were kind of waiting for us and wanting to see some stuff. So I went and did the Museum of Halloween and the Museum of Halloween's gallery during that time instead. And I was glad I did it because there's awesome stuff in there. I mean, so many cool things there. The Weeble Wobble Haunted House. I need that Weeble Wobble Haunted House in the box. But I mean, so many great games in there, blow molds, all sorts of stuff. We have that video online as well. You can check out on our channel, which will be on the Midsummer Scream playlist as well. And then Horror Nights was kind of capping off. There's the party tonight, but before the party, in terms of like the regular day, the big panel to end things was Horror Nights. John Murdy returning to the stage after 3 years away to announce some stuff, and he really came in, and I felt like by far that was the best Horror Nights panel I've ever seen in terms of like Murdy was there and he had a full agenda. They introduced the new maze that's coming, Scarecrow the Reaping, that is shared with Florida. But what I thought was really great is they talked about the Florida version is going to be like part one, because there are people, it's a small number at the end of the day, but there are people that travel to Florida to see the Orlando versions of things and the Hollywood version. So part one of the story of I'm sorry, that's the next one. That's when we get to the legends. So I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So Scarecrow the Reaping is shared as well. But that one's not necessarily in parts, or at least I don't remember him addressing that portion there. But the idea that it was announced, and it was totally like there was no playing around. Like he got on stage and he's like, "Okay, it's been a long time. We're back together. Let's celebrate.
Let's start with an announcement."
Yeah, and it was like, "Oh, cool!" Like usually there's some like lead up to it. And it was like immediately he jumped in and announced it. And I love original IP at Horror Nights. It's something in the last 5 to 10 years we haven't seen a lot of, but it sounds like we're going to get more of it this year because then there was a tease afterwards for kind of a, I don't know, a noir Hollywood type, hotel, and they gave a whole bunch on like the ideas behind it, like some backstory, but did not actually announce it. Just kind of teased that one.
Well, yeah, Murdy actually kind of gave us a few history lessons in the panel and stuff, and with the Scarecrow one has to do with like the Dust Bowl and stuff, and so he kind of gave a history on, not a long one obviously, but like a brief rundown of kind of what the Dust Bowl was and stuff in case you weren't familiar, and then this other history was kind of based on like LA history, I think,
yeah.
The history of a hotel type of thing, but not so much, as you said, it was kind of briefer, but yeah, like it's kind of cool to have like these historical references and stuff that they're tying into the into Horror Nights and into these houses. They're no longer mazes, right? They're houses.
Yeah, they're going with houses now.
So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and then so we had like a maze announcement, and they showed character designs, and you did full video of all this, so you can find this on our YouTube channel as well. In fact, a lot of people were joining in. Like by the time you were done, there was over 300 people who had joined in on the live, which was awesome. And huge thanks to any of you that were out there sharing it or commenting or just watching is awesome, and it was really great. And I was glad that we were able to have signal throughout that. But so after that, you had that tease of the Von Drake heiress and whatever that kind of LA vibe, noir type of maze was. Then next it was like, let's bring Slash out. And so here comes Slash. And they did a little bit of a retrospective of going back from like 2014 and on of just kind of Slash's interest in the event and then the music that he's produced. They shared maybe, I don't know, a 30-second snippet of each of the songs that he had produced over the time. And Slash just always seems like super cool and super into Halloween and amongst his people there. And then ultimately it led up to, as it was going on, you could see like, so they had previously announced Universal Monsters Legends Collide, which Murdy had noted, and I didn't realize this, but this will be the first Universal production, not just a maze, but just any sort of Universal Studios production, including film, that brings Dracula, the Mummy, and the Wolfman all together at once into one attraction there. And this is the one that they talked about having connections. So the Orlando version will be like the beginning of the story, and then the second part of the story is what we'll have in Hollywood. And so it sounded really great. They again showed some concept art, and then they debuted Slash's music and it sounded awesome. I mean, Slash's music always sounds awesome for these mazes. I think one thing we've talked about when covering the event is oftentimes we have a hard time hearing the music in the maze sometimes because there's so much going on, and the music maybe is not leveled out quite, at least for you and I on opening night when we're covering it media-wise. But sitting in the theater there sounds absolutely incredible. And it was very surreal. It felt in a lot of ways like a little bit of a Comic-Con panel where there's this surprise, like, okay, here's a maze announcement. He's like, Murdy was playing the Kevin Feige role. It's like, here's a maze announcement. Here's a tease for Phase 2. Here's Slash. Here's music. Here's the new song. See you at Horror Nights. It was a great panel, I thought. I really, really enjoyed what it does, and I hope every Horror Nights panel going forward is something in that mold because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's very entertaining and energetic. There have been times, admittedly, that during sometimes some of these panels, the Universal, I'll like start to get a little bored or a little like listless. It's, in my seat and like, okay, the type of thing, and it takes more time to get through stuff. But I think because Slash was there and they were going to do all the sampling the music and stuff, it felt like he was trying to get a lot of stuff in on the earlier side and stuff. And so yeah, just from the first couple minutes, all of a sudden it's like we're in announcements and we're this and we're that and here's this, and it was like quick paced and very much kept my attention and stuff. Now, I've said it before, and it was kind of the case, and it is the case with this situation. Whenever I'm filming something or recording something, I'm focused on like the camera, and so it's hard for me to really kind of absorb what's actually going on in front of the camera and stuff. And so that was kind of the case, but I felt like I was still able to absorb a good amount of today's panel. where I actually remember a lot of stuff. I don't remember the exact specifics and stuff, but the YouTube Live is there. So if I feel like going back and watching it, it's already up there. But yeah, it was very entertaining, very energetic, and I was like, I remember at some point thinking, I'm like, wow, I'm like enjoying this, like actually enjoying this and stuff, and yeah, playing the music. Of course, people I think were actually most excited hearing the music from the Bride. Was it the Bride of Frankenstein?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
From
that
last
was a great
year
one.
and stuff, and so I think Murdy played almost all of that music. That went longer than the other samples or sampling of the music and stuff. And Murdy said that is like his favorite sound or favorite song that Sasha's done for Horror Nights and stuff. So yeah, it was very entertaining, interesting panel that we experienced and stuff. So that was a really cool thing. And yeah, when he brought out Slash, it's not the same as The Rock coming out as Black Adam by any means and stuff, but it was still cool. It's like, and here's Slash, and of course, everyone got excited and stuff. So yeah, it did have kind of a Comic-Con feel to it.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think Kirk Hammett from Metallica and Slash from Guns N' Roses took the same stage today at Midsummer. I mean, that checks a lot of boxes of dream kind of panelists for a lot of people outside of the Halloween area. I know my mom, she was watching some of the videos you were putting up today and was all excited to see some of these people, and my stepfather and stuff like that. I'm sure will enjoy it. So just a good day. And it's one of those things that's like, much like Comic-Con, all of a sudden it's like the floor is closed, and it's like, how's that possible? Like, we just got here, and it's like because the day was packed, because it left us wanting more. So we're here Saturday night now. As we're wrapping up recording this segment, it's 9:30, so we'll be coming back to you all recording more tomorrow. But it's a packed day, and again, we're going to have to make a lot of tough choices before we, end the day and slouch back off to the real world to get ready for Monday morning there. But I'm excited about day 3 on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. And, after the panels, we still made our way back down to the exhibit floor and soaked up as much time as we could down there and stuff because we weren't ready to leave and stuff.
Not at all.
But yeah, we'll get back to our room and get some rest and come back tomorrow and probably try to get here on the early side again to try to get into Hall of Shadows as early as possible and also to get parking hopefully at the convention center. We were able to do that today, which was nice and stuff. So yeah, I fully anticipate tomorrow will be quite busy as well, and looking forward to it.
It's been a really good time. I mean, I feel like at Comic-Con we really kind of took a step up in the world in terms of, like, I feel like we're just much more on, like, I feel like we have a really good plan, and I feel like people are really responding to it, and I feel like our numbers are really booming, which all feels very good. And it's awesome to come to Midsummer and feel like it's just continuing that. Like, it's not only a Comic-Con thing, it's just like we're finding our rhythm, and I feel like we're in a better spot now than we were ever even before the pandemic began. So it's been a good, run of a few weeks here, and I'm looking forward to more of it tomorrow at Midsummer. So with that said, we'll go ahead and take a break here and come back to you in a few moments with wrapping up the con with our Sunday content. All right, we are back, and it is day 3. We're in the final hours of Midsummer Scream for 2022. Unfortunately, we're recording right in the lobby, not too far off. We can see in the distance the black cats and the Welcome Home Spooky Kids sign, and it's getting to the sad part of the weekend where things are about to wrap up. So we're going to wrap up this podcast, talk about some more fun things, and then you and I will have a couple hours left to experience the floor some more and some haunts and things like that. So real quick before we move on, you had talked about picking up that bag yesterday, and you did find the vendor, so I want to give them a plug because they had some great stuff.
Yeah, it's on Etsy. It's L.A. Von Made, I think is how it's pronounced. It's L-A-V as in Victor, O-N-M-A-D-E. So L.A. Von Made, I think is how that's pronounced. And yeah, they had some great stuff. And the purse is holding up. I'm always very tough and rough on my purses, but this one seems to be holding up okay. So far, so good.
Perfect. So our day started back at the Hall of Shadows, very similar to Saturday. Again, met up with our friend Ted. Rochelle wasn't able to join us today, but met up with Ted, and actually also met Tim Fowler and his son joined us as well from the farm in Bones' Gulch Haunt.
And Dan, one of Ted's friends, was with us and stuff.
Knott's, and yeah, just had a good time making our way around the floor and hitting some of the haunts. We hit Straight to Hale again, which was fantastic yesterday. We've already talked about them. We headed over and we were able to do Reichlin Asylum. We got to visit visit with Matthias and some new characters. We don't want to spoil anything there, but we will have video of that in our Day 2 compilation of Hall of Shadows and all of that. But Reichlin going big, some great dark scares, some fantastic actors. They do such a great job with kind of an interactive theater haunt. I mean, it always feels like it's 70% haunt, 30% interactive theater, and it's a balance I really like a lot. And it felt like they did a really good job with a smaller version here. I mean, far smaller than their home, but still a massive walkthrough when you're considering a very temporary weekend attraction at a convention.
Yeah, always very impressive and stuff. And I love that they're in Riverside because it's super close for us, and we can usually fit them in and stuff. And so their home haunt is super impressive and stuff, and much larger version than what we get here. But this, I think, was a really good taste, a good sampling of what they offer and stuff, because the actors were here for when we went through and stuff and doing all their stuff. And so definitely looking forward to what they're putting together for Halloween season this year. So
for sure. We also were able to do the Realm of Shadow walkthrough, which was one that we were not able to hit yesterday. They did a great job with kind of the scares from above and below. I know I've already talked about that and many things, but thought that was really fun. There was a couple kind of double scares in the top area and things like that, where a hand kind of reaches down in front of your face, and a great kind of long hallway with a clock scene. It's some fun stuff. Realm of Shadow is one that you and I have never experienced. We've seen them on panels talk about before and at Midsummer. I feel like every time we look them up, between their dates and the location, it's been hard to figure out, but that's definitely one to kind of add to the list of, like, is there a way to find our way out to them this year? But I thought it was a fun walkthrough experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Exquisite Corpse, we were able to hit up. So they're real quick, because I think it says, embark through the torn and dusty pages of a mysterious pulp comic book titled Red Water Volume 1. I thought that was a really cool way of introducing. They did basically a series of vignettes, and so it was this little synced up story to audio, lighting, and then these 3 phases that the actors would come in. And it was very much a pulpy kind of comic book feel to it. Really thought it was great. There's particularly a point where the light is coordinated to a ringing phone, and the phone, the light just shines on it, and it's so, totally off of a comic book page. I really enjoyed what they did. I think Exquisite Corpse does some really interesting things with kind of how they present storytelling. They do a lot outside of just the haunt season in terms of kind of this idea of, telling a story broader than just, something in October. But I was really glad we were able to catch it, because I'm not sure what their show times are, but we weren't able to catch it at all the first day. And I kind of was thinking, well, maybe we're just not going to catch one of the shows. And we were able to kind of stumble into it and time it just perfectly.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was one that I had trouble seeing because of my height, and the crowd was kind of already there. So you were able to see above, so I just caught pieces of it. But very impressive. And it seems that they had to pivot. They had a different plan coming into Midsummer and had some different issues. And then the fact that they were able to pull this together in a relatively short time frame and stuff, and still make it an impressive show is really, really cool and really impressive.
Yeah, you would have no idea that this wasn't something that was planned to be exactly that way for years. It looked well coordinated, well planned, and then well executed. So incredible stuff there. Look forward to see what they're doing this season as we do get to the spooky time of year there. We also were able to spend a little bit of time Force of Nature Productions. They do some wonderful theater in LA. We've had the pleasure of seeing them there. We've also seen them many times at Midsummer Scream perform. They do some really fantastic stuff. This time around for Midsummer, in addition to doing a show up in the, is it the Macabre Theater? One of the stages Theater Macabre. So in addition to doing kind of a preview of their upcoming fall production, they were able to be the citizens of the Midsummer Estates. In fact, they're actually the Glee Club. So it's the Midsummer Estates Glee Club presented by Force of Nature Productions, and absolutely fun. I saw about a 20-minute performance where, it's kind of has that feeling, if you're familiar with Knott's, where it's like the summer nights, where it's like the citizens of, the kind of kooky neighbors and stuff like that, and you have all these different citizens. You've got the guy that's barbecuing, you've got, a physician mixed in, I think it was. There was it looked like a PE coach, and just a number of different townspeople, but they all have blood and some cuts and things like that. And then they did all of these kind of classic songs. So for example, was it Old MacDonald Had a Farm? and I think that one was was that the one that was attuned to like Ebola or something like that. But there was, Jack. No, I think that was the Jack the Ripper one, Kills. But everything was basically made dark and macabre and funny. All of it was funny. All of it was silly. It was fun actually. While I was there, they did a birthday tribute to Diane Myers of Rotten Apple and Cal Haunt's fame. She was wandering by over there, and they're like, okay, we need a birthday, and I don't believe it was her birthday at all. They said, well, you'll have a birthday someday, and they sang happy birthday to her and did a whole tribute and stuff, but absolutely fun theater. It's funny, we were just in the just a little bit ago, we were in the 13th floor panel, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but they talked about how they kind of integrate humor into things like Hayride and how that kind of helps, to bring that extra little bit of scare when you balance it with humor. And I thought that's something that I think Force of Nature does really well, is there's a lot of humor in their productions that we've seen in various places, but there's also a darkness to it, and macabre is kind of the perfect description, I think, of a lot of what they do.
And I love for the Midsummer Scream experience that they just kind of pop up here or there, and they're singing and doing their caroling and stuff. And the lyrics that they come up with is like really fun and really funny. And the closer you listen to the lyrics, the more the more amusing they are and stuff. And they stay in character. At one point, I was just kind of walking through the Midsummer Estates, the Hall of Shadows entryway, and one of the characters popped up and said, I don't even remember what he said, but in character was talking to me about whatever in walking the houses and stuff. And so it's really cool, the atmospheric component that they bring to the whole show and stuff is really cool.
And then I think the next kind of big thing is we went to the 13th floor panel, which is up in the main stage there, and they had a pretty big slate that they were talking about. It was an hour packed with information. They started out with Delusion, and John Braver was there, and their sound guy and music guy as well there. And they talked about this year, and they kind of gave a preview to what's coming, which is Delusion, Valley of Hollows. And it sounds really fun. There's a big focus on creature effects. It sounds like more than even normal, which they always do some great thing with creatures. It's a focus on 1974 Cult, which sounds also really fun. I did not get to do Delusion last year. They only gave us one slot for media, which was a change from the past, so you went to that one. We got to do a tour of it, a lights on tour after the season. It looked fantastic. I really regretted not going. I was kind of thinking maybe this year we need to do, on top of the media one, we need to buy tickets to go another day or something as well, because I really do want to see it. But it sounds like it's going to be a blast, and it returns to the location last year, which I love that location. Again, I only saw it as a lights on version, but I really loved that location in Pomona, and it's going to be right back there.
Yeah, the Delusion is definitely an experience that that you can do multiple times and get kind of slightly different experiences and stuff. And at that location and stuff, there's different things that they can do with it. And then also with Delusion, I don't think it was just the most recent version, but so I think it's a usual thing that there was a VIP experience. Yes. And what they did with that VIP experience in 21 out in Pomona was really cool, because it did allow you to stay in that environment for an extended amount of time and have kind of an extra experience, or I guess a few extra experiences and stuff. So if at all possible, and if you can at all afford it, doing the VIP experience I think adds quite a bit, assuming they're going to do something like that this year. And then at that location, if they kind of keep with that same, they did allow for you to hang out, and there was a food truck and stuff, so you really could make a full evening of it. Again, this is based on last year. I don't know what they're doing this year specifically, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to attend, if not hopefully multiple times, but hopefully at least once this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it really does benefit multiple visits, in the past at least, because there's so many little details that you pick up on the second time around. And so many times, same with Creep, which we haven't seen JFI, at least I haven't, anywhere here at Midsummer this weekend, but I'm sure they're going to be doing something. And the Creep shows always benefit from a multiple viewings as well. And oftentimes we do end up doing those twice, not last year, but many years we have. So we'll see. Next up on the same 13th floor panel, was LA Haunted Hayride, and so our friend Ted kind of took the lead on that one, and they talked about the return to the 80s with Midnight Falls. They're keeping that theming along. Trick or Treat returns. The big kind of, I think, change was that the Dead End Diner is leaving, and it's being replaced by the Laughter House. How do they say it? Laughter House. So Slaughterhouse, but change the beginning of it. Get rid of the S, and now it's Laughter House, and it's basically going to be taken over by killer clowns. And so I'm always a fan of a good killer clown, and so that sounded like a fun addition there as well. They kept changes to the Hayride quiet. They said they wanted to keep surprises for that, but obviously there will be a Hayride component returning to it again as well. I've really liked the Midnight Falls theming of Hayride. The 80s, I mean, obviously is a great era. We see it all over. Obviously, Stranger Things has a lot to do with kind of powering that in the last 5-10 years or whatever it's been, of just kind of putting it at the front page for everybody. But reaches a lot further than that. So the highlight of the panel in a lot of ways was probably Monty Revolta returning to the stage with full costume, full in character, poking fun at everyone and announcing that he is still the mayor, and that he will be there in town once again performing. And so that's a good thing as well. I mean, everything that's happened with Monty and the Midnight Falls theme, I thought it's all worked really well together. All of the citizens of the town of Midnight Falls, there's really talented actors last year. So my favorite part of Hayride in 2021 was just the townspeople and just kind of being in Midnight Falls. It was a place really where I just wanted to kind of sit and hear the characters. I loved going through the experiences, of course, but I also just loved kind of watching the actors do their things, just the same way we sit in Fog Alley at Scary Farm.
Yeah, definitely. The actors are always kind of super impressive in the Midnight Falls town or whatever, and the story that goes with the town and them constantly experiencing Halloween, and that whole thing is just, I think, really creative and really fun and definitely enjoyable and stuff. And so, it's definitely promising, so we'll see.
Yeah. And then they closed out the panel with Shacktoberfest. And so we finally got some details, a little bit more on what Shacktoberfest is and the involvement of Shaquille O'Neal. So Shaquille O'Neal did not show up, but he did record a special video introduction. And it was cool. I was thinking for the, organizers of Midsummer Scream, it's got to be cool to have like a personalized, he gave a shout out to Midsummer Scream and the attendees and talked about his event. It sounds like it's going to be very Shaquille O'Neal, which it's hard to not be familiar with Shaquille O'Neal, but if you're not, I mean, he's a very funny guy. I mean, he's a great businessman. He's been involved in so many different business ventures in the last however many years. I guess, since the his career going back, he's always been involved in things. He's great at endorsing things, and it sounds like they're going to they're going to make some fun, or he's going to make some fun of himself with like some of the key art that they had. It did look silly. It's like Shaq shooting free throws, and the free throw or the basketball is a jack-o'-lantern. It looked silly and fun. Shackenstein, like Frankenstein. Shackenstein was one of the walkthrough areas. But I guess the real meat of the presentation in terms of like for us as attraction fans or, visiting events is it sounds like there's like 6 trails. It's going to be very much focused on family during the daytime. They said that was a big deal to Shaquille O'Neal to make this a family-friendly attraction, and then to have a witching hour, which it sounds like that's going to be around 8-ish is what it sounded like. And the witching hour, they said it'll be very clear when the witching hour starts, and when the witching hour begins, those treat trails become, evil. The scare actors come out, the music change, the soundscape changes, and now it is, much more of an adult scare event. So it sounds like, you can kind of enjoy both sides of it a little bit, and so I'm anxious to see what it is. I hope that we're able to check it out over there. I mean, I don't think we really know much yet about like the ticket prices or things like that quite yet, but I am very curious to see what it is. I'm very curious to see specifics of hours. They did show the footprint, and it was very much the Dark Harbor footprint, except I don't think anything's on the ship with all the problems there.
No, they keep very clearly stating that it's with the backdrop of the Queen Mary, the backdrop of the Queen Mary. So, I don't think we'll be touching the Queen Mary, but they'll have it as a backdrop.
Yep. So look forward to that. And then they ended the panel, which is awesome of them to do, as they've done a couple times with a free ticket giveaway. It was a much quicker window this time because I think last time it got exploited in 2019 of people being able to get tickets off social media or whatever, free tickets. But so we were able to score a free ticket to the Hayride. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. Hopefully we'll do the media night, but then hopefully we'll do a second time to that or something like that. So a really fun panel. And similar to Horror Nights, I felt like it was a lot of info packed into the panel, and it kept moving, and it was fun, and it didn't, linger too long. It just felt like it was the perfect amount of time for the perfect amount of information. So enjoyed it.
Agreed.
And then what we just stepped out of and kind of the end of our day in terms of, content-wise, I guess, was it the new and hot haunts. So basically every year, I think since the beginning of Midsummer Scream, they've done these panels that are, kind of highlighting some of the new things on the scene or some things that are kind of breaking through on the scene or whatever it might be, changes in creative direction, stuff like that. And so our big reason to go for this one was Bones Gulch being there. Our friend Tim was representing Scott and Greg and the rest of the Bones Gulch team on the stage there, talking about that one. I know we've talked a lot about that haunt, but we're really excited about it. It's just right over there by Six Flags Magic Mountain. They open October 1st. Tickets are available now. I got to see that Star Trek rock. I think we talked about that before, maybe in the Haunt X panel or a podcast or something, but they were able to get actually rock donated from the set of Paramount Plus, CBS, with the rock work from some Star Trek episode, Picard or something. But anyway, it looks awesome. When you combine that with all the build that they've been doing, it just looks absolutely fantastic. Scare Ventures was also there. They're down in San Diego, and they're teamed up with Ale Smith Brewing Company. I'm doing Fright Nights down there, and they have some family-friendly elements. I've heard of Scare Ventures. We've never actually experienced it down there. I'm curious where our San Diego, we've talked with some friends this weekend of just kind of where our haunting will take us this year, our experiences, because there has been a lot of changes in terms of where, are we going to need 2 nights in Santa Clarita now that Beware the Dark Realm isn't there and, the farm isn't there and stuff like that. And so is San Diego. I don't know. Will we go down to San Diego? Will we do 1 night? Will we do 2 nights? Are we going to do Hollow Scream? So not sure, but it sounded like some really good people behind Scare Ventures and sounded very interesting there.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see it. Obviously this year it's going to be, I think, very different even than last year on what we do with the Halloween season and stuff. And I don't know, I think we broke a record last year of how many haunts we experienced. I want to say it was like 140 something if I recall correctly. A lot. And so this year there's lots of changes and stuff, so we'll see. I don't know. I don't know how hard we're going to go this year. I think I said last year that I didn't want to break any records, and we still broke a record. So I don't know. We'll see how this year goes. But all these there's lots of questions like how many days or nights will we be spending in each area and stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
And then Castle Dark was there over Castle Park, which we've talked a lot about before. They've got some new changes in terms of, I guess, creative direction there, and so they talked about having kind of a medieval theme and adding some sort of a medieval maze there, and then really having 2 kind of central scare zones that kind of overlap. So anxious to see what they do at Castle Dark. That is our
3
local
mazes.
spot. 3 mazes, yeah. That is our local area there. So curious to see what happens over there. And then we went to, the final panelist, or not that these are really in any order, I'm just kind of looking at pictures from the panelists here to use my order, but Fear Farm. And we've talked about Fear Farm with the walkthrough experience in the part 1 of the podcast. I love the hustle of being at all these cons. We saw them at Monsterpalooza. We saw them at the Midsummer's seasonal one last year. We saw them at CreepyCon. I just feel like everywhere we go, if there's a monster side to it, Fear Farm has been out there going all out. The owner seemed very passionate about the project, talked a lot about that, a lot of experience, and I know it is high on our list for the new ones of this year to we got to find a way to get out there. It's way out in the desert, so we'll see how we figure that out. But I am excited to get out there, and hopefully we can find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, they've definitely piqued my interest. I think they've piqued a lot of people's interest. So, hopefully we'll be able to fit them in this year. I don't think we've ever really done a high desert night or stop or anything like that. So I don't know how that'll look, but hopefully we'll be able to to fit it in this year.
Yeah. Well, I think this year, I mean, I think kind of like the past, I mean, we haven't really talked about it too much, but I don't think we're really going to try to like break a record, but we didn't try last year. We'll just kind of go cover things and see how it works out. In general, I'm starting work a little bit later these days coming up, so it actually will be a little kinder to me on the sleep schedule. At the moment, I feel so tired from the last few weeks. I don't feel like, going all out, like every single night. Like, I feel like going all out, like covering 100 things and not 150 things. But we'll see where the season takes us as we get some momentum going. But the one thing I know for sure is it really does feel like Halloween's begun. And I think that's where we started the podcast, if I recall correctly. But just, it always feels like when we wrap up Midsummer Scream on the Sunday night that we're going to step outside and everywhere is going to be plastered with jack-o'-lanterns and witches and black cats, and somehow the world just isn't quite ready for it quite yet, but it comes fast, and we will have full-on Halloween in the next month here at some of the spots that we cover and stuff, so I am excited to bring a lot of coverage of that, and I'm excited we've been limping along with doing live content here because it just is really difficult with the signal, even with the paid Wi-Fi here, but I know there's going to be the ability to do lives in a lot of other places that we've never done it before, so I'm excited about I don't know, even going down to a Not Scary Farm on a Thursday night and just letting people, check out Carnival or, the streets of Ghost Town or whatever it might be. And so I'm really excited about the coverage, and I'm really sad that we're about to leave this place in the next couple hours. But it was a great weekend, and definitely a big congratulations to everybody from, the people that own the convention and design in the creative direction, and all of them, Rick and David and Claire and Gary and all of them, but also all the volunteers, the exhibitors, the artists. Of course, can't forget the haunters that have spent months, if not years in some cases, building these haunts and these attractions for this weekend, and it all just kind of combines into this wonderful weekend, and then all of a sudden it's done.
Oh, by the way, a quick thing. I was talking with Gary, and we were talking about
This is Gary Baker, one of the founders
producers,
of the
one of founders, producers, and the stage is always kind of his, I think, creative endeavor and stuff. And so the second story of the facade this year, he said, I guess it's very heavy, and he elaborated a bit, but I think he said it took 10 guys to get that thing up there.
Wow.
Because it's so elaborate and so heavy and stuff. And so, yeah, it's not a standard stage. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. I'm sure we posted pictures, and there's pictures out there. But the stages are always so incredible for Midsummer, and Gary just has a very creative mind, and he puts together these really cool things and stuff. And 10 guys to put that second story up there. So I'm like, wow, that's something.
Well, I mean, can't wait for the Halloween season. Can't wait to return for season screamings. So that's going to be coming this winter as well for Midsummer. I believe that's in November, December. I remember it conflicts with a convention. I don't remember what, but I know we'll find a way to still cover it regardless of what it conflicts with. But can't wait to get back to it. But really grateful for the weekend that we've had here. It's crazy, feel so grateful after all the Comic-Con, then to come here and have all of this. So any last thoughts before we wrap up then?
I will echo your congratulations. I mean, it's been a great event, and all the haunts that are on the Hall of in the Hall of Shadows are incredibly impressive. So, congrats to all of them. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it to most, if not all, of the experiences. Well, I guess most, because I don't think we haven't plans to go up north. But so hopefully, we'll get to most of them. The Cal Haunts team, of course, did an incredible job with the entry piece for Hall of Shadows. The show, I mean, again, Claire, David, Rick, and Gary just do an incredible job. And then all the white bats that help, the volunteers are incredible. And the team there's so many of them, but obviously Jackie and Ian come to mind because they're friends and stuff. And they've been running themselves ragged. They're the two of them I've talked to, and they both look like they could use a good night's sleep and stuff. The whole team has just been putting tons of hours in to get this show together and keep it running and stuff. And so obviously there were different issues with getting people in, and lots of people spent lots of hours in lines at points and stuff. But despite all that, I think everybody has enjoyed the weekend, and super happy to be here, and just very appreciative of all the work that all of those people have put into to put give us this experience this weekend. It's been a really great, fun experience.
Yeah. One of my favorite videos of the weekend to kind of encapsulate things is a video that we did not take, but it is, we retweeted it earlier today, but Bob Gurr dancing at the party last night. And I mean, he is a Disney legend with a capital D and a capital L. You don't get to be a bigger legend than Bob Gurr, you know, creating the Doom Buggy and the monorail, and, you know, all the transportation of Disneyland is so much built on his foundation. But seeing him dance, it's like, that is so awesome that he was here partying. I mean, he was here signing. We got his autograph in 2019. But to think about the journey to get to Midsummer Scream 2022, the way the world has been, you don't know if you're going to see Bob Gurr showing up at a convention, let alone dancing on the dance floor. So it was funny because Bob Gurr at his booth they were keeping some distance. I had that in the live stream, like they weren't having people come and shake hands or things like that. But then seeing him dancing on the floor, you know, just enjoying himself, and I'm like, yep. This is, you know, we're all coming back to a more normal world, in a world where Bob Gurr can dance at a Halloween party in July is a good thing. So, again, congrats to all involved. As we wrap up here, again, we'll have more videos that are going to be coming out on our channel. So we've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 videos up so far, I think, and a couple more that are going to be coming out soon. They may be all up by the time this podcast hits, because we have one podcast in the queue before this one to hit the channel. On our podcast channel there. We do have August kind of slows down a little bit in terms of the event. I mean, we have a lot of other things that aren't necessarily Parks and Cons specific we have to take care of in August. It's very hectic on some of those areas. But in terms of the content side, you know, we'll have the D23 Expo talks, and we're going to have some Halloween talks as well and things like that. Lots of Halloween build coverage and all of that. But in terms of events, our first one up after this really is Anime Days, which is over at Frankenstein. That comes August 20th through the 21st. We've got Power Morphicon the 26th through the 28th. San Fernando Valley Comic Con August 27th. Disneyland, then, this is our first official Halloween thing after this. Disneyland begins Halloween season September 2nd. That is crazy close, just about a month out. Anime Impulse, September 3rd through the 4th. Long Beach Comic Con, we're back in this exact spot, 3rd through the 4th. Oogie Boogie Bash begins at Disneyland on the 6th. Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios on the 8th, and then D23 Expo the 9th through the 11th. Once again, a huge thanks to our Parks and Cons crew. We greatly appreciate all your support. You're all such a diverse group with such different interests, and we love it that you kind of are with us to share in our diverse interests. So, again, huge thanks to the Parks and Cons crew there. We do have our bonus content coming up, just like we had for the Comic-Con season. We have our next bonus season coming up, and it's all going to be Halloween, so more coming on the Halloween side there. If you are interested in the Parks and Cons crew or supporting our work on Patreon, you can find us there over on our homepage. It will link directly to. Once again, we appreciate reviews wherever you find the podcast, particularly Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and the rest of those. You can always follow along us on social media at Parks and Cons on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Wrapping up here from Midsummer Scream 2022. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.